Okay, hi everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. I want to welcome all of you that are able to attend this evening. I know that 6:30 is the time that we're often with our families and getting off of work, and I appreciate your time in being here. We'll be doing these Women's Health series for a while, and the first one is, as we see titled here, it's going to be being overweight might not be your fault. And so I just want to welcome you to this webinar tonight and thank you for being here, and hope that you can take away some things that are super helpful with whatever it is that you're struggling with, particularly around weight. So I want to go over a few housekeeping things before we get started. Which is going to be really a webinar etiquette. So a lot of us are very familiar with using the Zoom meeting platform, but some of us may not be. So I wanted to give an opportunity to just run through a couple things. First of all, everyone should be muted automatically when you sign in. I don't hear any background noise, so I think that that was successful. If we start to hear any background noise, we'll ask you to mute or mute you from this side. This webinar is being recorded. If you registered and were not able to attend, if you do watch the webinar through its entirety, you will receive the same benefits as if you had attended in person and live. If you want to hear this webinar again, I do believe you're going to receive an automatic email from us with a link to the webinar on demand. If for any reason you don't, this is my email address here, and you're more than welcome to email me directly and request a link to rewatch that webinar. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, I will ask that you put those questions in the chat box. And there's a little instruction here. I'll leave that on the screen. If you don't see your chat box, then follow these instructions there. You'll be looking for this little guy right here where it says chat. Look for that emblem. Should be in the bottom window, bottom area there. Just click that to open it and put your questions right in there. I am hosting this alone tonight from my home, and I don't have a moderator, so I won't be able to really answer questions until we finish the webinar. So I'll just roll right on through. I will unmute everyone at the end if you want to do some live Q&A rather than just the chat box Q&A. Also, I want to tell you that if you attend this webinar, either as an on-demand recording or if you're attending live with us tonight, you will receive 2 free gifts at the end. And yes, I said plural, I did say gifts. There are 2 free gifts that you'll be qualified for just for attending this webinar. My hope in that is that you'll stick with us, even if for some reason you find that this topic doesn't suit you, because there's a really high probability that somebody that you know needs this information. So we'll hope that you'll pass that along. So with that being said, let's just get going. So, you know, one of the things I want to hone in on here is, you know, everybody kind of, I think, that would attend a webinar like this has some desire to lose some weight. But let me tell you why now it is so important. And you may know this a little bit, and I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about COVID by any means, but losing weight now is truly super important, and here's why. One, as soon as you lose weight, enough weight to make a difference, that is, but we can get into that a little bit later. But once you start losing weight, your blood pressure is going to be reduced. So if you're suffering with hypertension or high blood pressure, losing weight, if you are overweight at all, is so important. There's a high probability it's going to help you reduce your cholesterol. It's most certainly going to reduce your risk of heart disease. It's going to reduce your risk of diabetes, or if you've already been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes or any of those things, you have an opportunity to even reverse that and get your blood sugars under control and not have to go on medications. And believe it or not, reducing your weight really can help improve your sleep. I think we all know that we gain energy when we feel at our optimal weight. Everybody wants to fit in their clothes and not have to buy a new wardrobe. Looking younger, feeling better, more confident, And of course, living longer. I mean, we know that being an optimal weight is going to help us live longer. And then this is the one that I think I wanted to spend just a quick moment on, is just to talk about the fact that obesity and COVID, there is a direct correlation to this with regard to your health risk. So again, I don't want to be the person talking about the negative stuff, because we've all heard so much about coronavirus and COVID, but it is the time we're in, and I think it's important to say that, listen, if you've been thinking about losing weight, really now is the time now. Flu season will be upon us before we even realize it, and one of the most significant risk factors for becoming hospitalized and being placed on a ventilator, in particular, under the age of 60, is obesity. These other factors over here, we've heard them ad nauseum on the media, but these are also issues that contribute to having serious illness around COVID should you catch the virus. If you notice, diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease are all listed in there, all of which are strongly correlated to obesity. So if you have been considering weight loss, really now is the time. But the message of this webinar really is about serotonin imbalance and about why being overweight might not be your fault. And so let's talk about that the rest of this time. So why do most of us gain weight? Some of this might seem pretty intuitive, but there's some things in here that you probably won't think about. So, so first and foremost, oops, sorry about that, guys, I went one ahead. So number one, eating your emotions. So why does food make us feel better? Now, I'm not saying that everybody in attendance tonight struggles with this, but a lot of people do. And I think women even more so struggle with this. And so why does food make us feel better? Why do we call it comfort food? Why do we call it that? Well, here's why, guys, because serotonin is an actual natural neurotransmitter that's in the body. It regulates our mood and our social behavior. It regulates our appetite, which we'll talk more about momentarily, and our digestion. It also helps regulate our sleep, our memory, our sexual desire, and our sexual function. So if we are suffering with a serotonin imbalance in our body, the best, quickest way to resolve that is through food. So it really is comfort food, and it really does, for those of us suffering from a serotonin imbalance, it really does make us feel better. It really is a real thing. And so what happens when we don't have enough serotonin? Well, first of all, you're probably going to eat out of stress. You may start drinking alcohol out of stress. You will probably eat from boredom, sadness, depression. Most of all, you're going to be getting these cravings for carbohydrate style foods, whether they're starches or sweets. Your body's going to crave them because those carbohydrates really do make you feel better. But here's the trick. They only make you feel better for a little while, because as you start to pack on the pounds, then you start to suffer with guilt and frustration and depression, which leads us to this number 2 reason that people gain weight, and particularly a lot of weight. And it's this vicious cycle that starts with the emotional eating. So emotional eating truly does lead to a food addiction. And what I mean by that is those high carb foods, when you eat them for coping reasons. So again, talking about that feel better, that comfort food. If we're eating for that reason, the brain literally will become dependent on them. So the high sugar, high carb foods, they trigger the brain to feel good, and it really is like a drug. So it's like drugs or alcohol to the brain. And so it leads you to have these stronger and stronger cravings. You need more and more of it to get the same result. So what then happens after that? You go from not only making poor food choices and really going for those carbohydrates, but you start increasing your portion sizes. So now you're having bigger portions of the wrong foods just because you really have created this addiction in your brain for this food. And then again, just to reiterate, if that isn't bad enough, then we start to pack on the pounds, then the guilt, the frustration. Many of us will start to feel hopeless and depressed. And then what are we going to do? We're going to turn to more food, the wrong foods, the carbohydrates, to give us at least some serotonin boost to help us just get through the day. And so it truly is a vicious cycle. The number 3 reason people gain weight is lack of time. And I think this is probably really worse in our society that now more than ever, because we have both parents often, or both husband and wife, working in a household. So less and less time to meal prep, less and less time to cook. And so what happens? Well, we start choosing these fast, easy meals and snacks. So we get tempted to buy the boxed and frozen foods, and of course, fast foods, pizzas, all these things that are super satisfying, but more importantly, they're easy, they're quick, and frankly, they can be way more affordable than eating healthy. So the result is often, again, with the lack of time, is this irregular meal schedule, skipping meals, skipping breakfast, rushing out the door to get to work, to get the kids to school, to get to work, all these different things that we're doing. So what happens with that, and I think a lot of us already know this, is it starts to just really kill our metabolism. So every time we go a further and further amount of hours in between eating, our metabolism starts to say, whoa, we need to slow down burning and this energy, and we need to conserve it. And so undoubtedly, we start reducing our metabolism, but guess what also happens? If you go all day without eating, or you go up without maybe a lunch, and then you get to dinner, you're starving and you overeat. So now we're back to the portion size problem. You're probably, again, choosing the wrong foods because you're in a hurry, and then you're so hungry that you're eating a proportion that is a portion that's just too large, that it's not necessary, so too many calories. The other thing that we worry with, and we see a lot, is people eating these low protein meals. So as we start to deal with the carbohydrate cravings that we have, or the foods that we feel like we like the most, we eat fewer proteins, and with fewer proteins, we see a slowed down weight loss, typically increased hunger. So again, we're eating the wrong foods, but we want more of them, and a lower mood. And then, oh my gosh, the biggest reason people give for not exercising isn't that they don't like to exercise, or isn't that they don't like to go to the gym, although that's a pretty popular one. It really is, the largest excuse people use is time. They don't have the time to exercise. So when we add all of those things together, what we get is, weight gain, and it's unhealthy levels of weight gain. So what has to change? Well, the good thing about this is it's really not a ton of things we have to change. There's 3 major things that we need to change in order to achieve our desired weight loss goals. So number 1, we need to think about how we eat, okay? So we're gonna talk about modifying our behavior, particularly around portion control. Because whatever you're eating, if you're eating way too much of it, and I think we all know Americans have a bad habit of this, if you're eating too much and you're eating too many calories and your portions are too large, problem, okay? The other thing we need to change is what are you eating? So nutrition, food choices, meal planning, that's got to change if you want to focus on weight loss. And then of course, we've got to stop finding the excuse, and we've got to do some exercise. I got to tell you, it doesn't take a lot of exercise to peel the pounds off if you do number 1 and you do number 2. So here's what everybody probably wants to know the most about that's on the call tonight, or on this webinar tonight. And that is, so why Serotonin Plus? Why this program? So as the owner of Pura Vida, I decided to bring Serotonin Plus weight loss program on because I felt it was the only program that I frankly have ever seen that attacks all of the reasons that we gain weight, that delivers us a healthy way to not just lose 35 pounds on average in 12 weeks, but to keep it off. And here are the highlights about the Serotonin Plus that I like the most. So first of all, there's a medical jumpstart, and that's sort of a term that we came up with. So you're gonna get fast weight loss because we're gonna use a prescription medication to curb your appetite, all right? And so what does that deal with? That deals with that portion of, double words here, but portion control, right? So we're gonna use a medication that's super safe. It's been on the market since 1956, and it works extremely well to curb appetite. So we're gonna do that for 12 weeks. And during that 12 weeks, you're gonna not have the desire to overeat. You're going to be able to get your portions sizes under control easily without being hungry, without feeling like you have to mind over matter or cold turkey or whatever. It's going to be quite easy. In fact, most of the people complain that it's hard for them to eat what they're supposed to eat because they just don't have the appetite. So we're going to do the medical jump start. And oh, by the way, that same medication really does boost the metabolism as well. It gives it a nice little boost. It gives you a little energy boost. Most people start to feel a little bit more energetic and a little more motivated. But the best part is you're going to start to lose weight fast, which is super motivating. And then here is the thing that I love, love, love about this program. And that is that you're going to reduce your carb cravings by using these patented serotonin supplements. Okay, so we're going to take that carbohydrate craving and toss it out the window. It's gone. You're not going to need the carbs anymore. You're not going to have the brain craving them. You're not going to be like, oh my God, I got to have that bag of popcorn at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because your energies are dropping. And all the reasons that we go for those snacks. You're not going to crave them. Okay, and that's super important to this. So for 12 weeks as part of the program, at no additional cost, you will have 12 weeks worth of serotonin supplements. The other thing that I really like about this is everything we do in this program is with real food. So you will be eating real food. The food that you go to Publix or Winn-Dixie or whatever your store is, that's where you buy your food to go through this program. There's no bars, no shakes, no meals, no things that taste so bad. No wonder you're losing weight because they taste terrible. Nope, you're going to eat food that tastes really good, and you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to buy it from the grocery store. So think about this. If you go to the grocery store once a week or once every 2 weeks, I know I can say this with certainty that each of us goes and we buys a lot of the same foods each time we shop. Okay, so think about that. If for 12 weeks you work on buying different foods. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah. So if you, it's never ending, guys. I'm so sorry. That was my phone. It's been exploding over here and it's sidetracking me, and I apologize for the interruption. But if you do something for 12 weeks, if you shop a certain way for 12 weeks, it's going to become a habit, right? And then so the way you shop today, when you go to the frozen pizza aisle or whatever that you go get you're going to stop doing that. All right. And you're going to start making better choices, and you're not even going to have to think about it. And that's the best point, because it's going to become natural to you. It's going to be a habit. So you're going to change behaviors by creating new habits. And part of the way that you're doing that is not only with a very detailed program guide that's going to be in your hands for you to reference like a Bible as you go through your 12 weeks, but you're also going to have sessions just like this one every week, which you can do from home with a nutritionist. So you're going to have weekly counseling and support to help you not only understand what foods are the right foods, understand when you kind of look back at your own food diary and say, okay, I've lost this much weight. Maybe you're not tracking as well as you should. What's off? What am I not doing? Or even deal with some of the issues that are causing you to do the emotional eating. Again, the serotonin supplements typically handle that pretty well. And you really don't have that desire anymore, but you've got a person that's going to walk you through it. So what this is not, is it's not a diet. This is not a situation where you're going to yo-yo. You're not going to lose 35 pounds in 12 weeks and then turn around and pack it right back on. I mean, I guess you could, but in theory, you really should not, because we are attacking all things that are causing you to get that weight gain. So think about this as well. The serotonin supplements can be continued and are recommended to be continued as you go off of the medical jump start, so that first 12 weeks. So these are all things that we get really in the weeds with once you have your one-on-one consults with one of us, and we can definitely get into a lot more detail. But the most important thing to understand is we're going to portion control through curbing your appetite. Your stomach in 12 weeks will shrink. You're not going to need to be on an appetite suppressant forever, because your stomach, your little stomach in there and your belly is going to shrink down, and you're not going to, you're not going to want to eat those bigger portions. We're going to manage the carb cravings with serotonin, and we're going to create really good behaviors around food. And that is what is going to give you sustainable change. So I actually went out today and did some of my own relatively quick research, but I wanted to provide you guys some really legitimate websites that have nothing to do with the Serotonin Plus program, and they have nothing to do with Pura Vida. So these are completely independent. You're more than welcome to click on these links. Again, you're gonna get this slide deck, or you can get the slide deck from me if you email me, but go out there and do your own research. Do a Google search, but of course, please make sure it's legitimate sites, or take these and take a look. But science says so, and what I mean by that is science says there is a direct correlation to weight gain, obesity, and serotonin imbalance. So this isn't something that is new or unheard of. This is actually relatively old science, but we're just putting together a program that is simple and easy and effective for you to address the serotonin imbalance along with the other things that get us into trouble. So I don't like to do webinars where I just sit here and talk at people, and I'm super glad we could keep this down to about 30 minutes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through these couple of things because I want you to know what the benefits are of attending tonight are. And then I'm gonna check the chat box to see if we have any chat questions. And then I'm gonna unmute everybody and we'll see if anybody has some live questions that they want to ask. If you want your chat question to be private, we can keep it that way as well. So anyway, of course, here's our link to our website. If you are not familiar with Pura Vida Med Spa, we're located in Fleming Island, Florida, and we are a full service day spa and med spa. This is our newest line of services. We do offer over 100 things in our service lineup, and we are so excited about this weight loss program. It is unbelievably successful. Every single person to date that we have put through the program is currently on track to lose the 35 pounds in 12 weeks. Even a couple of which have some things that medically are making it more difficult than the average person to lose weight, and they are still on track. So I am telling you, this program works. It is highly effective. And if you are motivated to jump in and do this, it will work for you. I will say that, not in the slides, but I will say, just in case anybody's wondering, you will have a full examination by a local doctor in our practice who will make sure that you're physically healthy. We're going to do lab work, EKG, and a physical exam. All of that is included in the cost of the program. All of the supplements are included in the cost of the program guide, all of that, your sort of Bible is included in the program. Your 12 weeks of weekly visits with the nutritionist by virtual meeting is all covered within the program. It is super comprehensive. So again, those are things one-on-one we can talk at more length about. So here's the fun stuff. So when we first started the program a month ago, we did an introductory pricing. The price of this is normally $1,200, and for anyone who attended this webinar, whether live or who will rewatch it by having registered and watching it on demand, as long as you can give me this code that you see in that third bullet, which is SP winner, I will honor the discount that we offered, which is the introductory pricing of $949, so $251 off. And again, that covers everything in your comprehensive program. Additionally, if you would like to get a free gift card for $15 to the spa to use for whatever service you would like, just email me at this info@pvmedspa and include the SP winner, and we're going to give you a free gift card for $15. And then, because I really, really want to know how useful these webinars are to, our consumers. We know that webinars are used all the time in business and everything else, but I'd like to really explore how helpful this is to consumers and the community and our clients and our spa guests. And, if these things are a helpful way to communicate information to you guys and you find it useful, the feedback would be great. And so if you will text us at the number below, So that's 904-293-1692. If you will text us and let us know that you attended the webinar and that you would like to provide feedback, we'll send you a link. You can just click that link, leave us a review, and you'll get an additional $25 gift card. So nice little way to get some gift cards for the spa if you like. Again, if you have anyone that you want to share this information with, please do. Obesity is really a problem in our country, and it definitely is negatively impacting our health. And as many people as we can reach with this amazing program that works so well, and frankly is pretty easy, I think the better. So I'm going to just kind of pop over here now and see what we have as far as whether we have any questions in the chat box. I know a lot of people are not familiar with this platform, so we'll see what we have there. So give me just 1 second there and I will take a look in my chat box, which I'm laughing because I just said you guys aren't used to it and then I couldn't find it. Okay. So, if you have muted yourself and you want to unmute, you can do that now as well. Okay. No, I don't see any questions in our webinar chat box. Again, if you have any questions live, you should be at this time able to unmute yourself. And I'm going to make sure that I'm unmuting everybody on my end. Yeah, so. Yeah. Okay. If we don't have any questions from, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I did send a chat, but my question is, I know you said that we would get an exam. I'm assuming that would be because my initial question was, you know, on my blood pressure medication, and it has only been in the last year. So I you know, but what I'm saying is the meds that we would take to curb the appetite, I wonder how that with the meds that I'm on.
Yes, so that's a great question, and it's an easy question to answer. So the medication that we typically use is phentermine. It is not fen-phen. That is a very different combination drug that was removed from the market. Phentermine is the jumpstart medication that we use. We can use it in different dosages. We have kind of a standard dose, but if someone does become blood pressure sensitive, we'll reduce the dose. But here is the thing about the phentermine. It's safe. It's been around since 1956. We do the health exam and do the EKG and the blood pressure check and all of that to make sure that there isn't anything underlying medically that would prevent you or preclude you from taking it. Almost never is that the case. We do monitor your blood pressure every week. So part of your virtual check-in or weigh-in with your nutritionist, you do have to report your weight and you do have to report your blood pressure. So it is definitely important to manage your blood pressure, but it does not prevent you from being on phentermine just because you are hypertensive or because you are on blood pressure medication. It can have a tendency to raise your blood pressure. So we're going to monitor that very closely and adjust dosage if needed. The other thing to keep in mind about this program is the phentermine is not necessary. What I mean by that is it's certainly a great help, especially for those people who have portion control issues. There's a lot of people who come into our program that really it's not a portion problem. It's a food choice problem. Anything. So we deal with that with the serotonin supplements, which have nothing to do or no concern with regard to blood pressure. So we have a couple people that have come through the program very successfully. One has multiple health concerns, and she's coming through the program quite successfully already without doing phentermine at all, and that was by her choice. She just didn't want to do it, and we felt like that was the right thing to do to go along with that. And she is still losing the same amount of weight that we would expect as an average weight loss in the program.
Okay.
Just,
Because
that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, my physician said, and that's why this call is important to me, that if I can give her 25 pounds, I'm coming off the blood pressure medicine, because that's not
there you go.
on. You know, I think it was just something that was going on with my transition here to Florida and all. It's just a lot of things. So I really want to work toward getting off.
Yep.
So anyway.
And that's exactly why we look at it the way we do. We watch that blood pressure super closely. But if for a month or two your blood pressure is slightly elevated, the trade-off is so huge, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's worth it. We don't ever want anybody to be unsafe. We don't want anyone to ever be having hypertension that is going to be, destructive to their kidneys or their vascular system. But if we elevate a little bit and it's still within sort of that parameters that we might treat it with a medication normally, but you kind of, and that's where a lot of people are, and it's usually because of the weight gain. So right. If you do that small trade-off for a short period of time and monitor super closely and be very careful about it just to make sure, then, we get you off those medications. And so, but we do it carefully, and that's why this is a medically supervised program. Okay.
My other question is along with that, if we're including, this exercise routine, and I know it said that when you begin to exercise, you gain muscle, switch weight. So how would you be able to really actively monitor weight loss if you're also gaining muscle?
So another great question. That's where those weekly visits come into play, because that's where you're going to talk with the nutritionist about what you're doing. Most people who come into this program don't launch into like going into CrossFit, okay? Mm-hmm. So they're not packing on a major amount of muscle. Most people who come through the program start walking, or they, do something, right? But the amount of muscle that they pack on in the first month is, pretty minimal. But here's what people who do kind of launch in and come out of the gate really fast. And we have a younger lady in the program right now, and she kind of went really, out of the gate strong, right? She's like, I'm going to go back to exercising, and I'm going to get my body back. And she did weigh in, and she was not tracking from a weight perspective. But when I talked to her, I said, how are you feeling? She's like, I feel amazing. I said, how are your clothes fitting? And she like pulled her pants out and showed me. Yeah. And she's probably lost 4 inches in 2 weeks. It was insane.
Okay.
So pounds matter for sure. But if you launch into something that's going to build muscle mass, then we're going to consider that along the way. But keep in mind this as well. If you go into a program like that, where you really kick up that exercise program, there's a chance you're going to lose more than 35 pounds, even though you're putting the muscle on, because you're going to burn fat faster. Muscle burns fat.
Okay.
So you might be surprised that you still track along that same lines, even though you're gaining some weight of muscle, that you're probably going to lose more weight faster because you're adding the muscle, which actually helps to burn the fat.
Okay.
Confusing, but hopefully that made sense.
It does.
Yeah. But you're going to definitely get leaner. You're going to definitely feel it, in your clothes. I think that's what most people report is the quickest. Okay. I lost 5 pounds in the first week, but it's really my clothes already feel better. You lose 5 pounds in the middle, and most people feel that. It's not like, struggling for a month, lose 5 pounds, and you're like, okay. And then, this is part of what I love about this, is it's really motivating. When you lose weight quickly, it motivates you to stick with it, mm-hmm. Hang in there. So. Any other questions we have? Okay, guys. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to be here. Again, I would really love your feedback about, was this a helpful way to deliver information? If you enjoyed it, if you didn't, that's okay too. We want real feedback. And by all means, if you have more questions, reach out. And if nothing else, take advantage of those gift cards that are out there. I hope everybody has a wonderful night and look forward to talking to you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.